Green light for psychedelic drugs trial to treat binge eating. I didn't know psychedelics helped with binge eating. A major Aussie university ASX listed company will develop psychedelic drugs to treat binge eating in a world first clinical trial. Wow, that's crazy. Australian researchers will soon deploy a psychedelic compound found in magic mushrooms to treat binge eating in a world first clinical trial. Experimental healthcare company Triptamen, I think that's how you say it, Therapeutics, announced a radical trial in a statement to the Australian Securities Exchange this week, telling investors Swinburne University would conduct the open lab research on 12 patients suffering from binge eating disorder. Wow, okay. Open label means there are no placebos involved and all patients and researchers know what is being administered. Okay, that's interesting. It's only 12, so it's only a very small trial. The patients will receive 2 doses of TRP 8803, a psilocin-based 5 infusion. Psilocin, which is produced when psilocybin is broken down. So psilocin comes from psilocybin. When psilocybin is broken down in the body, this psychedelic compound that triggers changes in mood, perception, and thinking patterns. Cognitive neuropsychologist Professor Susan Rossell from Swinburne designed the trial with typetamin, that's a weird word to say, typetamin, and told Newswire she hoped the psychedelics would open up the trial's participants to new ways of thinking. What we have found in other psychedelics work is that psychedelic itself opens up people to thinking differently, she said. Okay, so that's baseline and that's psilocybin. That's interesting. And one of the things that we know with a lot of mental health conditions is they start to have repetitive thinking and it becomes very rigid. Oh yeah, I can see that. Some people with binge eating disorder, I need to consume lots of food to help with my emotional issues. Yep, that makes sense. And that's probably very true. And I think that's with a lot of things. We just become addicted to things just because of emotional things and we find comfort in those things that we overconsume in. Anyway, that's just my ramble. They are in a very stuck, rigid thought pattern and they can't find other ways to deal with their life stresses. Yes. Binge eating is the uncontrollable consumption of food and can lead to a range of serious health problems, including social isolation and weight gain. It is the second most common eating disorder in Australia. Wow, that's crazy. In the US, an estimated 1.25% of adults experience the disorder each year and 1.6% of teenagers aged 13 to 18 are affected. It's extraordinarily costly, Professor Roslin said. The trial is expected to run for 3 to 4 months, with initial results due at the end of the year. Triptamen CEO Jason Carroll said the primary objective of the trial was to assess TRP 8803's utility in treating the disorder, but it could also generate insights into how the product might help with other neuropsychiatric disorders, which would be interesting. With patient recruitment initiatives now underway, we look forward to the first enrollment and the commencement of baseline data generation from participants prior to the first patient dosing, he said. Clinical trials involving psychedelics to treat medical conditions are growing around the world, but the impacts are not yet clear. Psychedelic drugs are illegal in Australia. Oh, really? And there is evidence that consuming mind-altering substances can lead to adverse outcomes. A study on a single-dose psilocybin for treatment-resistant depression funded by psychedelics company Compass Pathways and published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2022 revealed mixed results, with most participants experiencing adverse events. Wow. Adverse events occur in 179 of 233 participants, 77%. Okay, what's the adverse events? And included headache, nausea, and dizziness, the researchers found. Okay, is that it for the adverse events? A small number of patients suffered serious negative impacts, the study revealed, including suicidal ideation. Wow. And intentional self-injury. Really? Jesus. Professor Russell said the Swinburne trial would be safe. I don't know whether these medications are going to work or not, but I've worked with them now for 2 years and I haven't had anything negative happen with anybody in my trials in the right and safe environment, she said. She also said the use of an IV solution is added an additional layer of control. The IV is even more safe, she said. If we start to be aware of the person is having an unpleasant reaction, we can stop it straight away with the IV. Okay. With the oral preparations, they have to work through it, and it can leave people with some unpleasant feelings. Tryptopamine, a listed company with a market capitalization of 4.3 million. Wow. Stresses the confirmed reversibility of TRP 8803 is a key selling point for the product. This formulation aims to overcome several limitations of oral psilocybin, including significantly reducing the time on onset of the psychedelics state, controlling the depth of duration of the experience, and reducing the overall duration of the intervention to a commercially feasible time frame, the company states. Okay, so they want money and they want to figure out how to do things with this trial so they can sell it. TRP 8803 also provides dosing flexibility and the ability to terminate treatment if the patient is experiencing an adverse event. The company held 4.6 million in cash as of March 31. Okay, so they've got a bit of money. Anyway, that's an interesting trial, and I guess we'll see what comes out of it, out of the 12. Very small trial.